Russell, really big welcome, and looking forward to having a chat with you about resilience and picking your brains.
Thank you. Yes, me too.
I know you've got lots of years of experience around resilience coaching with lots of clients in organisations. Can you tell us something about your journey to get there?
Yes, absolutely. So I've been independent now for just over 4.5 years as the resilience coach. And prior to that, my last permanent role was at the cooperative group in Manchester. So for me, that's where my sort of journey around resilience started. So not long after I joined the cooperative group, it was going through some significant changes as an organisation. I appreciate that many organisations too. However, this one was large scale, significant for a whole variety of reasons. And so my role with a team of others was to support the leaders around their development, the top 300 leaders. And as this significant change was taking place, loads of people were coming to me and going, Russell, it's really, challenging. It's extra difficult. There's an awful lot that's going on and we're feeling, overwhelmed and things like that. So as a consequence of that, I was aware of this word resilience, and I chose that moment in time to take the opportunity to actually look into it in more detail. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's about almost 8.5, 9 years working with, different clients and different individuals around this word resilience and just seeing what comes up and what I've learned from it as a consequence.
Excellent. And so with these years of experience, what have you concluded that resilience is actually about? What does it really mean?
Yes, thank you. So it's a great question, and I've changed my mind an awful lot of times, but around, what's the one thing it's about? So resilience isn't just about the one thing. However, to answer the question right now, my answer starts with self-compassion. Mm-hmm. That's what's working for me right now as a starting point when I'm engaging with individuals and organisations around, how do I become more resilient? Or I'm in a particular place where I know I need to build my resilience. Then right now, for me, it's the self-compassion piece. For some time, I'd heard the phrase of, be kind to yourself. And for me, that just didn't work. It didn't resonate. It didn't make me want to engage with it. But for whatever reason, chatted with some other people and self-compassion came up. And for me, the definition around that is we have got a multitude of thoughts and feelings at all times of the day that are going on with us. And it is useful to be aware of those and then look at them through the lens of self-compassion around it is perfectly okay to have whatever thoughts and feelings that you're having at any moment in time, because we're also good at beating ourselves up around the different thoughts and feelings that I have. So for right now, my starting point is, okay, let's just self-compassion. Let's see what's going on for you. It's okay to have the thoughts and feelings that you are, and then let's take it from there.
So you're saying that self-compassion as an idea and as a practice, I'm guessing, is
yes,
really key to your understanding at the moment. Tell us something about what resilience is not. We were talking earlier about this notion of bouncing back.
Yes.
So it'd be great to hear you say a bit more about that.
Yes, absolutely. So in terms of what resilience isn't, so sometimes words and phrases come up to me as like, being strong, being tough. Those are the things that often word around resilience, and that's not what it's really about. And yes, the bounce back piece. So with resilience, the word bounce back is utilized a lot. It's in a lot of definitions around it. So it's there, it exists. For me, I think it's useful to just be watchful around the word bounce back, because resilience is about life's events happen to us. And resilience is about learning from those life's events. So there is a risk in the bounce back space that we have an event that happens to us in our life. We deal with it, we face into it in that particular moment in time, and then we might bounce back to how we were before that life event. So resilience is about learning from life's events. So for me, it's better to think about, okay, life's experiences happen to us, happen to me. I deal with them, I face them in the moment, and then I will reflect on them, learn from them, add some things to myself, and spring forward into a different adapted version of ourselves. So I prefer this idea of learning and then spring forward rather than this thing happened and I'll just go back to how it was. So if sometimes anybody ever comes up to you and said, are you back to your old self? Then for me personally, I've just got a moment around, let's just chat about that. I'm going, from that experience that you had, did you learn from it? Anything different? And I think that's more useful in the resilience space for me.
Fantastic. It sounds like a really positive and helpful frame to put around the kind of challenges that professionals have at work.
Most definitely.
Actually, those challenges can be used with support
Yeah.
as fuel for growth and becoming more than they were before.
Most definitely. So, in terms of how we build our resilience, it's absolutely starting point, self-compassion, and learn. And on my website, I've got the resilience wheel, which is, taking the fantastic information that's out there around resilience and just putting it into some different spaces. So how we may then build our resilience levels is to look at those different elements of the wheel at a particular moment in time. So, for example, having a purpose, that's one of the dimensions of resilience. Do we have one? Do we know where we're going, in our lives? Another massive aspect of it is our adaptive capacity, how adaptable we are, how open to change we are at any particular moment in time. So if we've done those things around learning from life's events, that will just help us at any particular time in just being more open to change in general. Then we've obviously got our confidence levels. So confidence and resilience are intertwined. It's understanding that build our resilience is going to aid our confidence. If we've done something and our confidence is built, then it's going to aid our resilience. So it's really understanding that they are self-fulfilling prophecies. There's our support network. So who have we got in our lives at this moment in time that is there, that is energizing us, that we're enjoying sort of spending time with us? There may be some people that are doing the opposite of that. So it's understanding who have we got in our lives and what's our balance around that. And then for me, it's also, I like to talk about the meaning that we attach to life's events. So it goes back to, human beings, we're storytellers. So whenever we have a life event happen to us, how are we describing that event to ourselves and others around what has happened to us? So it's noticing the language, the words and phrases, the thoughts and the feelings that we attach to it. So meaning is, what are we attaching to these different things that have happened? And then the other bit is around the word energy, which has got three aspects to it for me. One of them is all of the work that's done around the strengths-based approach, the strength scope approach, which is there are certain things in life that we are drawn to, we enjoy doing, therefore they energize us. So understanding what those are for ourselves and how might we be able to spend more time doing the things that energize us. The other aspect is that whole piece around our diet and exercise, that affects our energy levels. So I'm most definitely not a role model necessarily in this particular instance, but it is being watchful of, what am I eating? What exercise am I doing? Because that affects our energy. And then it's also our, biorhythms, our circadian rhythms. We've got natural energy levels throughout the day and night. So are we aware of those and noticing those? And then the absolute heart of resilience is our attitude. What is our fundamental sort of natural mindset to life that's around it? So being able to start with around self-compassion, got these thoughts and feelings, and then looking at the different aspects of the resilience wheel, real significant amount of learning around things that are happening. For me, that's how somebody actually builds their resilience levels more towards the thriving side of things.
And that sounds like a really holistic kind of mind and body approach that would bring real benefits to employees of an organisation personally, but also in terms of how they're able to deliver their roles and deliver their performance levels at work, which
absolutely
have all sorts of great organisational outcomes, isn't it?
Absolutely. So yes, for me, so the resilience and the well-being, same thing, essentially around it. And yes, it is all of these things that we do. They are going to affect how we perform day to day within the workplace in terms of what's going on for us. So it's highly useful.
Excellent. And For our viewers who are watching this video,
Yes, absolutely.
what's one thing that you could offer them to take away
Yeah.
about resilience that maybe they can put into their own working day for themselves?
I think so. Slight caveat: it's not about one thing, but I know that on videos
Alright.
we like the one thing.
Okay.
Let's call it, being present. So at any particular moment in time, so in a way that works for you, it's about checking in with yourself at just times throughout the day around how am I, understanding what's going on for me, being attuned to yourself around what thoughts, what feelings, energy levels, wired, flat, stress levels, good stress, bad stress. It's just so the one takeaway is try and get yourself into the habit of just reasonably regularly checking in with yourself in the moment, being present around what's going on for me through the lens of self-compassion. That would be the one takeaway.
That's a really useful one. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, shall we end there?
Yes, that'd be great. Thank you so much for taking the time to answer questions and chat to me. I really appreciate it.
Brilliant. There's one last thing I haven't asked you, which is how do people contact you if they want to get in touch?
Yes, okay, thank you. So I'm on all the social media. So website is all the W's, theresiliencecoach.co.uk. So email address is russell@theresiliencecoach.co.uk, and same on all of the pieces of social media.
Fantastic. Thank you, Russell.
Thank you, Liz.